That's loud. Okay, well, we're just going to start. This is the business part of the meeting, not the panel yet. So bear with us and welcome to our meeting if you've not been to it. Can you go through the slides as I can't on myself? Okay. So we're going to go over the ground rules. Just move on. We'll go to the next slide, Francis.
Okay.
Okay, so please stay on mute if you are not talking. If you'd like to ask a question, probably we'll have questions at the end of the panel discussion, but you can raise your hand if you'd like to say something during our general business portion of the meeting. For the Q&A portion, we ask that you keep your questions to 1 minute or less. We will nicely cut you off if you go way too long on that. And please be respectful of everyone at the meeting. I don't think I need to go into detail on that. Next slide. Okay, and I guess this is the introductions very quickly. I am the chair. My name is Kat Wee. I know it's spelled UI. It is pronounced WEE, like we. Our vice chair, Robert, is here. Robert Holder. Treasurer Francis Wee is on my right. Secretary, hopefully she'll be jumping on the Zoom. Lexi, and at-large members are Sanad. I don't know how to say his last name, so we're going to skip. Sarah Pan and Viviana Lindo. And next slide, please. We're going to have some committee reports, mostly probably being done by me. But I believe Karen Emery is supposed to hop online, so hopefully she will show up. Okay, next slide. That's your report, Francis.
Yes, so as you can see, that we've got 1,500 in the treasury. Our Rep Maryland is helpfully paying for our food, so have some pizza. And let's see, there's a little bit more. We sold some shirts, right?
Well, we sold one shirt for $10, so just to add $10 to that $15.86, so it's $15.96.53 right now. Okay, we did that on Saturday. Okay, I'm going to let Harry give us an update on the Palestinian and international solidarity, and I'm going to let you just sit here, Harry.
Oh,
so people could see him. Can they
he's,
see him?
He's visible.
Oh, he's visible. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Nothing really to update. We haven't had any events planned past a few weeks. So, but we're talking about some teach-ins, and so keep an eye out on that.
Okay. Go to the next slide, Francis. Right to Strike Committee, I am on that committee, and we did have successful leafleting at Tapco Rally back in June. We're working with the DSA on this, and they've been leafleting, well, not leafleting, they're getting signatures instead at Waverly. It's like a farmer's market in Baltimore. We are going to have a brand new canvas. It's going to be this Saturday, 10 a.m. If you want to get involved, please do so. It's going to be at Oakland Mills Farmers Market. They're going to meet at 10 a.m. at the other barn. They'll tell you how to get signatures for this. And this is basically the right to strike for public sector workers like teachers, librarians. Anybody who's in the public sector right now cannot strike legally. We are not allowed to. And that really makes it difficult. It's a bargaining chip, believe me, if you can strike. And so we're trying to get a state law passed on this no later than 2026 or 2027. We are building a coalition. There's a lot of union members involved, a lot of different unions, and also public sector workers like teachers, university teachers, our county public school teachers, Howard County Public Librarians are interested in this. I'm interested in this as a public librarian myself. All right, so move on.
So Karen is not.
It's a little bit late. What she did share with me today, and if she comes on, we'll let her speak. But they're trying to put together this new ethics policy, which seems to be basically to limit people speaking from the public, limiting council people, Columbia Association reps from speaking to each other or asking questions if someone comes to testify. It just seems like a way to silence people in the community. And if you're not aware of what Columbia Association is, if you live in Columbia, you are taxed. Where does this money go to? It's not really a business. So, you know, the pools, all these other things are subsidized by our money. They control a lot of open space. This is your money. You should go to your village board meetings. It should be important to you because it is a lot of money and a lot of open space. And they've done some very harmful things like stream restorations, or they just clear cut a bunch of trees, old growth, which is very harmful to the environment. So hopefully Karen will jump on later for that. Go to the next slide. Okay, so we haven't heard from WR Grace people. So the people in that neighborhood have been trying to stop the plastics recycling. And so they just sent this to me the other day. There's going to be a rally with Stop Grace Coalition on Tuesday, July 22nd. If you are available to show up, it's going to be at the George Howard building from 4:30 to 6. They are still working to get this stopped. And the zoning, it's ridiculous. These people bought these houses and they want to basically do plastic recycling, which has emissions. They're very, very harmful and right next to people's residence. And all we've been saying all along is just move it somewhere else where people don't actually live. It's really very, very close to a school as well. All right, so we'll move from that slide. These are the different committees and ways for you to get involved. We have the Columbia Association Committee, Palestine Solidarity Efforts, the Union Solidarity Efforts, Immigration Support Efforts. And if you're interested in any of those topics, please fill out the Google form. We just have only 2 people on this legislative committee. Sarah is one, and Joan is going to be helping her on that, but we could use more people on that. All right, move. Try and move this quickly so we can get to the panel. Yes, thank you. All right, and now you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Blue Sky, we're on X, and we are on Instagram. So any of those, ORHoCo, and there's the link tree. And Francis, maybe you could put at least a link to that in the chat for people who are on there right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do vet who's in our Signal members now. We'll don't get too offended. We'll ask you who you are, why you want to join us, and that sort of thing. And without further ado, we're going to introduce one of our panelists is en route. We'll put it that way, but 2 of them are here. We have Susan Karen, who came all the way from Montgomery County today. She's with Drop the MIDC Coalition. We have Harry, who came from Howard County, so he didn't have to go very far, with HoCo for Human Dignity. And Saqib Ali will be here. He's a former Maryland state legislator, and he's going to talk about the BDS movement. So we're going to let him go last since he isn't here. I'm going to go ahead and let Susan go first. And I'm going to just
All right.
get as close as you want to that.
Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. Just to get an understanding, how many of you have ever heard of the Maryland Israel Development Center or have been engaged in some of the activity? Oh, okay. All right. For those of you raised a hand, can you tell me how you heard about it or?
I think it's from your.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of referenced in various divestment.
Oh, so this is really helpful because we've only been like coalesced for about 6 months and we want to find the channels to find people like you. So, and if you aren't familiar with it or whether you are familiar with it, I hope that by the end of this presentation, you really get an understanding of how quietly but powerfully the MIDC has been sort of making Maryland the welcome mat into the US for Israeli weapons manufacturers, and how they're bringing in their bad practices that could potentially be used on people in the United States. So Howard County, Our Revolution and Our Revolution Maryland are signatories to this. So you all are part of it. So the MIDC has been around for 30 years and it's gets most of its money from Israel's Ministry of Economy, the Associated, which is the Baltimore Jewish Federation, and the Maryland Department of Commerce. And what it does is it brings in Israeli companies into the US, and it does vice versa as well. The Department of Commerce has about 20 international partnerships, but they've told us that the MID is a very special relationship and sort of the involvement is very unique. The MIDC does not give money to the Israeli companies. What they do is they facilitate their presence here. So they'll help them with legal work, logistics, getting their offices. And to be honest, when you look at the companies that I'm talking about, they don't need money. What they need is political legitimacy and validation and cover. And that's something that you'll see. There'll be a lot of ribbon cuttings and a lot of ways to sort of elevate their profile. So they get about $250,000 from the Department of Commerce in Maryland, and my county, Montgomery County, gives about $45,000. And in Montgomery County, it's not a grant, it's just they automatically give them. There's not even an application. Howard County has some arrangement through the Economic Development Authority, but we don't quite understand what's happening there. We do know that your Economic Development Authority gave about $3,000 to a recent gala they had to celebrate the MIDC. So I'm going to turn to talk about some of the companies that they've been bringing in. So in your backyard, you have ELTA, which is in Annapolis Junction. And ELTA is not a private company. It's actually part of the Israeli government itself. So I'm going to repeat that. ELTA is not a company. It is actually the Israeli government. And they build military electronic systems for the battlefield. In my county, Montgomery County, we have Raphael. Again, it is not a private company. It's actually part of the Israeli government. And they moved right next door to Lockheed Martin. And how many of you have heard about the Spice Guidance System story that no, that's good. So they make these spice guidance systems that are put on these bombs. And so they made a partnership with Lockheed Martin to put these spice guidance systems on US bombs. And back in October, an Associated Press photographer took a picture of a bomb that was just going on top of a residential building in Beirut. It killed about 78 people. And they saw the spice guidance system on the US bomb. So we have evidence of a war crime that was committed through this partnership that was brought together by the MIDC. Another organization is called RoboTeam. They make drones and they brag that their drones are battle tested. We have RADA, that's also in Montgomery County, and they build tactical radars for war. That is a company where actually they got money. So Montgomery County gave that company about $50,000. And RADA Technology was just listed in the UN complicit organizations with the genocide. So they're one of them. And not just for the genocide, they build these sensors that go on the Caterpillar bulldozers that have been bulldozing houses on the West Bank. So they're also complicit in settler expansion. So as I mentioned, these companies are coming in to bring profits, but they're also bringing their bad practices here. So ELTA, which is in your county, they got a contract under the first Trump administration to build a prototype for the border wall. So you can see some intersectionality with immigrant rights and other things. Mistral, which is in Montgomery County, they are marketing skunk water, and that is a product that's been used in the West Bank, and they're trying to sell it to law enforcement. These companies are also involved in cyber warfare and surveillance. So in Howard County, you have Recor, which is in Columbia, and they do license plate recognition. And in Baltimore, there's Cyberbit, which is a subsidiary of Elbit, which is another prominent war contractor, and they actually do cyber warfare training. And then the last one is Eris Labs, and that just moved into Rockville this month. And they do scraping of social media and try to generate field intelligence, really surveillance and sort of spying. And they say that their clients, they're looking at the Army, the police, Homeland Security, and the owner was a former IDF military intelligence official, and now, and he used to be also with Palantir. So I'll give you a little bit more detail about that later on. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to build our knowledge and we're trying to build our base. So a lot of what I'm telling you, you won't find online. We've had to do FOIAs, we've had to pick up the phone, we've had meetings with elected officials and government officials, and we'll say, we don't want the MIDC, and then we have to ask them, well, how is it funded? Because this information is pretty fugitive. In terms of building our base, we've been doing teach-ins like this. We've been working to get grass tops organizations. And, you know, we have a website. It's dropthemidc.org. We have these short 3-minute videos because we know people can't have the bandwidth to read. And we've done a lot of flyers and other products to make it easier for people. We've also done campaign work in Annapolis and in Montgomery County. So in Annapolis, we testified, we had a lobby day, we reached out to about 70 offices. We had an email campaign, we had this postcard campaign. We even met with the Secretary of Commerce. All of that's being said, nobody said a word to us for or against or anything. Behind the scenes, we heard that we were talked about. And the interesting thing was the MIDC executive director actually showed up to testify. So we know we were roiling the waters, but their playbook is just don't say anything either way. In Montgomery County, as I mentioned, it's in the county executive's office, so he is the sole decision maker on this, and we made sure to let him know that he couldn't deflect it to county council or anything. He's the one to make the decision. And we ended up seeing him at the Annapolis lobby day, and he's a progressive guy, but he was pretty frank. He said, I'm not going to meet with you. I'm not going to budge on this. And he kept true to his word, but we would show up at places. So we went at town halls. He showed up at the Code Pink Police Peace Ball, so we cornered him there. He was at a proclamation event. We protested. He turned around and never did the proclamation. And one of the favorite things was he was at a virtual political breakfast, and we Zoom bombed. We had all these backgrounds that said drop the MIDC, and Kat was one of the people that did that. So we just had like a Brady Bunch of drop the MIDC. He still funded it. So then we turned to county council, who had to rubber stamp it. Again, we attended meetings, we testified, and again, they just didn't say a word and they all voted for it. But behind the scenes, we knew that we ruffled a lot of feathers. When we would talk to them, they would be blaming each other. We've also heard that the county executive was upset enough that he might try to move this into a place that is more shielded so that he's not in the hot seat. So how can you get engaged? First of all, you might want to look into what Howard County's Economic Development Authority is doing, and I can help people if you want to do a FOIA or a meeting. The other is you do have some state elected officials that are key players. So Courtney Watson, who's a delegate, she's on the Appropriations Committee. She's not on the subcommittee, but she's on the Appropriations Committee that makes the budget decision. So she's a good person to reach out to. And then Senator Guy Gazzone, I understand he might not be a friendly, but he chairs the Senate Budget and Taxation, which also hears about it. So it's good to reach out to them, find out what their stand is, and see if there's any push on that. We have, if you look at our website, we have a WhatsApp group that you can just join where we get announcements. And then we have 2 campaigns that we've been working on. Merit Gyms, the Merit real estate company, they're the landlords for ELTA. So there's been leafleting and phone zaps with Merit just saying cancel your membership and explaining about the MIDC. People aren't canceling their membership, but when you talk to them, you make them aware and they might push back on the corporation. And the other thing is with Eris, we are going to have a campaign in Montgomery County. It's at Pike and Rose in Rockville. This is a really dangerous company. They are, especially with DOJ having all of our information, this goes beyond Palestine. It's about surveillance. And one of the things we also discovered is the MIDC in promoting Eris tried to harass a falafel restaurant that was nearby because it had a mural with a keffiyeh on it. So they said this is going to be unwelcoming to ERA. So, well, we might title this falafel not surveillance. So. The last thing I want to talk about is we get a lot of pushback about this is business and we're making money off this and this money can be used for Meals on Wheels and that should justify it. And we always bring back the moral thing. The other thing is some of these companies aren't there anymore. So Raphael and Robo Team, they just came in with their business development people for a couple years and then they left town. Some of these other ones are here. They're small offices, so I don't know how much money we're making. But they never take into account how much we give for the federal in our tax dollars. So Marylanders give $269 million every year. That could be used for other things. So we all know that Israel goes to the Pentagon and says, I want my free weapons, my free toys. And we all know AIPAC goes in and says, you better give it to them. This is a life or death issue. They need to have their weapons. But the issue with Maryland is we've got Elton Raphael, which is also the Israeli government, going in supplying these weapons. And we know, I think it's with the SPICE guidance system, that actually the Pentagon buys the weapon from Israel and masters these companies and then gives it to Israel. So Israel walks out the door with both the weapons and the check. So there is some double dipping here. So, and I will stop there.
Want to go, Sandra, next?
Sure. Small stuff. Hi, folks. My name is Saqib Ali. I live in Montgomery County, Gaithersburg. And I've been active in this issue about Palestine solidarity for many years. About 15 years ago, I was a Maryland state legislator. I was a delegate. And after I left office, I just threw myself into BDS, any kind of like opposition to Israel's apartheid. And I was doing it for 10, 12 years, long before it blew up on October 7th, 2023. And then it just, all the activism got turbocharged, right? And it became a front page news story every day. And it's so much more polarized now. And that's one of the things I love what Susan's doing and what she talked about, right? Like the way it used to be was that everyone supports Israel and nobody talks about it, right? Just don't act just pretend we'll talk about global warming and we'll talk about, abortion rights, and those are important issues, right? But we're going to talk about every issue, but we're just like, it's going to like what? So I went, people like Hurry and Susan and I started going in these spaces where there was no Palestine advocacy and sometimes where it was like completely out of place. And we just like start talking about it and we'd force the issue and like social media. And so now we've come to a time where thankfully anything to do with Israel is super controversial. Well, that's good. We've gotten to that point because before it wasn't controversial. But we're still not at the point where we're like blocking their contracts and kicking them out of spaces and stuff like that. So obviously we want to keep doing that work. One thing I did was a long time ago was I sued, Larry Hogan was the governor and he enacted a executive order saying that any company that wants to have a contract with the Maryland state government, like if you're the contractor that provides these tables in this library, right? Or this projector screen, you have to sign a contract with the state of Maryland to fund the stuff. If it's a state agency, it might be Howard County, I'm not sure. But this state roads, state jails, all kinds of state facilities, DMVs, right? Or MVAs, toll, everything. The state puts out thousands of contracts every month. Those are bid on. And in that contract, there's this Larry Hogan introduced an executive order saying, if you want to get one of these contracts, you have to promise not to boycott Israel. Okay. Like you can boycott France, you can boycott Germany, you can fucking boycott USA, right? Like, that's fine. Just don't fucking boycott Israel. All right. So like it's kooky, it's creepy, it's weird. So I sued the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, and I was backed by the Council on American Islamic Relations, and we sued the governor saying that he violated my civil rights because I wanted to get a contract and I couldn't because I had to like sign this oath. We had a couple of years of litigation and unfortunately we lost. Basically, we lost on standing grounds. It's a legal technicality, but basically they said that I didn't really have I didn't lose the contract. I wanted to apply for a contract, but I didn't apply for a contract because of this clause, but so I didn't have standing. So it was a legal technicality. So we lost that issue. But you know, we made a big stink about it, and now we have Democratic governor in there named Wes Moore after Larry Hogan. So he can just like undo the whole thing with a signature, right? He can revoke the like executive order. He hasn't done it, right? He hasn't done it, right?
No.
And people have approached him on it, I think. I've heard they have,
Yeah.
and he's just like, look, we don't want to talk about it, right? Like, so you know, so we have to force in every, you know, we have to try and force them to talk about it, and they don't want to talk about it, right? Because they know either either they're siding with genocide, or they're gonna piss off their like most biggest donors, or some very influential people, or you know, maybe they want to run for president, and you know, how is this going to look when they get attacked on a primary stage? That's a lot of how these people think, right? Westmore thinking he wants to be the next president. So if he's running against Gavin Newsom and Gavin Newsom says, oh, you hate Israel, that's gonna like, he doesn't want to be that guy. So um I'm not optimistic that Westmore will do it either. You have to have somebody who kind of doesn't have like higher ambitions. But we're making progress in several areas, and but most of the time these people just don't want to talk about it, right? That's they don't want to talk about it. So here's an opportunity where we're going to force them, I think, to talk about it, because in Montgomery County, there's a hot Montgomery County executives race between basically there's three front runners: Will Jawando, who is positioning himself as sort of the progressive African American guy, and then it's two other guys, Evan Glass and Andrew Friedson. So you know, they're not going to want to talk about this, right? So we're going to be like, no, you have to talk about this. Like, you want you know, you want an endorsement, you want to show up at a mosque, you want to show up at Our Revolution event, you know, you have to say, we're going to ask you this question. Will you cut off the MIDC? You know, will you state that Israel is committing a genocide? And, you know, scream at them, don't give them your votes unless they do, right? So that's something that I'm looking forward to in Montgomery County. I don't know about what's Howard County's county executive situation going on.
We have 3 candidates
Oh,
as of today.
there's a race.
Yeah.
Okay, is Calvin Ball's leaving?
Yeah, he's term limited, and
Oh, okay.
one of the candidates is council member Liz Walsh.
Walsh,
who was
right? We
the-
posted about.
Yeah, who's really great on, I think, on this issue as well as all, you know, a lot of other issues. And then the other 2, I'm not too enthusiastic about.
Okay.
So
So-
it's promising.
So we got to go beat up on the other 2, right?
Yeah.
In Howard County. In Montgomery County, we kind of have to beat up on all 3 of them, and one of them's yeah, and one of them, Andrew Friedson's been like very vocally pro-Israel his whole career. So he's just like, you know, off the table. So that's it for me.
This is where play. So
Absolutely.
ORHoCo, that they're endorsing questionnaires, and I know HoCo's working on them. And you submitted to all the candidates, not answering any of them is already an answer for.
Right.
Like on our Rev and on the left. Most people answer questions regarding investment and how we're gonna invest and whether it's gonna be ethical. You can ask that for local, because you could say, oh, this is an international. This is a local issue, money being invested
Yeah.
into Israel. And you guys can really definitely have an impact finding out how these candidates are gonna answer that. And I send out, and we will send out, we still have to talk about it, a questionnaire to every single person running, give
Mhm.
them all a chance.
Absolutely.
And then we can post those answers so people can make educated, you know,
Yeah.
decisions.
No, absolutely.
I've only talked to Ed Fishman about this in Loco,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he's gonna wanna get something together and
Yeah, it has to,
Happy
there
to-
has to be questions about Palestine on that questionnaire
Absolutely.
this time. And also like saying it's not a local issue is the biggest dodge.
Yes.
We can't take that. No, Israel is involved in everything in American society, right? Like the county councils are giving their like precious dollars to Israeli companies in a way they don't give to any other country in the world. You don't have like the Maryland, Ghana, like economic council or the Maryland, Nigeria economic council. What the heck?
We just have sister cities.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
That's it.
Sakib and I were involved in a campaign to stop the Israeli sister
They
city.
tried to, yeah,
And I think we're the only ones that.
several years ago, they tried to make a sister city with Rockville and like some town in Israel, and we like
No,
it was a town in Israel called Bet Shemesh, which is actually it's not a settlement, it's in Israel proper, but it's like the most Taliban town in all of Israel. Like they like it's all filled with like super ultra Orthodox people only. And like they have segregated sidewalks for men and women. And like if you walk, like if you're dressed in like if you're a woman dressed in shorts and you walk through town, they curse you out and they spit at you and they call you a whore. Like it's well known for that. And they wanted to make that the sister city of Rockville. So, so anyway.
Okay, yeah, so just a little bit about me. I've been involved in county issues for about I would say about 8 years. I got involved after Trump 1.0, and I ran for county council then, and I didn't win, but I kept on. I continued my involvement almost exclusively on zoning and land use issues with different organizations. And so, until of course, until the genocide started, and so long, after, when I think when Sakib and Susan were, doing a lot of the, work on this issue, you would hear about like, oh, what's going on and like the Middle East or whatever. I would just, attribute, yeah, there's a complicated issue. It's not something that, I it's not, it's way above my pay grade. It's, it's not something that I can understand. So I'm just going to focus on what I understand. And so I wasn't involved in that. And but as Sakib mentioned, after October 7th, I think a lot of just things became much more clear, and at least for me, and I decided to just focus on that issue, and helped and founded a group called ORHoCo for Palestine. We've been doing a lot of teach-ins, just advocacy, going to the Board of Education, the Human Rights Commission to talk about how this school system has treated students when they staged walkouts, and also going to the Human Rights Commission to, on that specifically, but just more broadly to compel, or to push for some meaningful action to make the to make the county say something about this, we, through that process, we were successful in working with Councilmember Liz Walsh to introduce a ceasefire resolution, and unfortunately, it didn't pass. And in fact, we didn't get a chance to have a public hearing on it because one of her opponents in the county executive's race she employed just a very shady tactic to prevent community members from testifying. So one of the things I do is I name names. I don't, so it's Debbie Young who did that, and it was very disheartening for many of us who supported her. I supported Debbie Young as well, and in our previous race. So it was disheartening for many of us, but we just, kept on, continuing advocating on the issue. And as a result of my reaction, so my, just the fact that the schools, the community did not, say anything, still to this day, this issue is not something that's talked about. And as a result of that, I decided to run for Board of Education and in 2024. And at the very least, just based on the fact that people know where I stand on this issue, to bring attention to that and talk about the violations of students' First Amendment rights, so we talked to a lot of voters, and unfortunately that didn't work out either, but kept on working on just the points in Board of Education, Human Rights Commission, and so on and so forth. And we came across this it's not really a divestment language, because it's not saying let's not invest on a specific like a divestment language per se, because when you look at other jurisdictions, they've said let's divest out of Israel, or out of like these companies or whatever. This is based on AFSC's investment policy, American Foreign Services Committee, their policy that dictates how they invest money. So it's forward looking, and it's saying on a continuing basis, this is what we want to invest our money on, and this is how we're going to select the entities that we want to invest our money on. And so they have established these criteria, and they have the bad investments are entities that weapons manufacturers, any entities that facilitate illegal military occupation, and so they list these entities, and then they all the good investments are corporations that make money in what I would call like in a life-sustaining way. And so we adopted that, and made added a few more to the list of bad entities, and added like civilian firearms, to address the gun, like the gun school shooting epidemic. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. They are in school, and they'll be going to school for a few years, and that's important to me. And they were based on talking to different people. We also added entities that discriminate preventing healthcare access based on the protected class, other issues that affect, the working class, like um, renters who face discrimination from these large property owners, with documented cases of abuse, and other big entities like Zillow and I think it's BlackRock or Blackstone. I think it's BlackRock, but they go into these communities and buy up um housing to make it more expensive. And so we added a lot of these, and so what we want to do is we want to amend the county charter, the county constitution, um, to uh, say to implement it so that the county council, after it's amended, we would implement this ethical investment screening policy through legislation after that. Um, and and it's you could do it by legislation, or you could do it with the way that we are doing it. And personally, I've come to the realization that you can't make elected officials do anything on this, and they're not, they just, um, yeah, I've given up on trying to, engage them in any of this. They're just not, they're uh, they've become very selective on what they advocate for, and I just, I feel like they have no credibility on this. And so the approach I think that makes sense is to talk to the voter and get them to make this change, by going around the elected officials. Yeah, we have like, one decent elected official who's been consistently really great. And then we have, quite frankly, four other ghouls. I mean, that's the only way I can describe them, is they just um they refuse, they have their own children, they have families, but they refuse to be moved by this. And so that's the only way I can describe them. So so instead of trying to pursue some action through that, it's to talk to the voter. And I think if we get the requisite number of signatures, which is minimum of 10,000, but we're shooting for 20,000 due to the high invalidation rate by the Board of Elections. I'm confident that it will pass, just based on our impression from talking to voters who are enthusiastically signing it. And so, yeah, if you're a Howard County voter, we would like your signature, and also any voter in the state would like your help in collecting these signatures. We want to get 200 volunteers to collect an average of 100 signatures between now and next year.
Stop you right there. So here's the ask with Harry. We need more volunteers. The other day, just the three of us, we got like 80. It was incredibly easy once you get going, like you'll get one person in a crowd and then all the rest of them go, yes, I want to sign that. What is next time we're going out?
So we're going out, so we have events almost every day, because there are farmers markets that are out there. So like the next one is on Wednesday. There are 2 farmers markets on Wednesday that that we've gone to in the past. The next major one is gonna be on August 2nd. There's like a rally on in Columbia, Little Patuxent and Broken Land Parkway. It's gonna be a big rally, so we'll go to that. But on an ongoing basis, because it does, we can't rely on these big events. We have to go to the farmers market and other community events. And so that's why we need more volunteers. And in addition to that, it's just not, people who volunteer regularly, but also, like if you can't commit to going out there and volunteering, but maybe you can get like 5 signatures, we have a way to do that. If you can do more than 5, we have a way to do that. So it's, just whatever you can do. Ultimately though, to get 200 people to collect an average of 100 signatures between now and next June 2026.
So if we put the link in the chat to this website, can they link up with you that way
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
listening today? 'Cause some people may watch this later on YouTube, so I want them to have a good way to contact you if they want to get involved.
Yep, HoCo for human, the number 4, humandignity.org, and there's a volunteer button there, and we'll reach out. Fill out the form with your number and we'll reach out.
To say, I've been canvassing for many, many years, but I had someone new come with me. We're trying to partner with people so you can learn. It's been an easy ask. You'll be shocked at people I thought would not sign it. We're like happy to sign it. Older people that honestly look like they might be Republican leaning. They still did it. They said the Howard County people should be able to vote on this and have a choice. And that's all you need to say. You're not committing to anything. You're just saying you want to see it on a ballot and let people vote. I actually had a friend of mine who is very defensive when it comes to Israel told me he would sign this with his wife because he thinks people should have the choice to decide on ethical investment. So don't think it's going to be a straight up no just because you know how that person leans. Oftentimes it ends up being a yes, and you may know friends and family right now who are just willing, if you went up with a piece of paper rather than going to strangers to sign it, everything helps. So that's all I can say. Yeah.
So I have a question. So this is a really cool initiative. So you have a petition which says that Howard County should invest ethically,
Mhm.
and that's all it says.
Well,
Basically,
Yeah,
it
that's-
doesn't
that's
say
all it
like, don't invest in Israel.
Yeah,
Okay, but by being ethical, that's
it
part of the
specifies
plan.
A list of conditions like no weapons manufacturers, nobody who's blowing people up.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Things that harm human beings
So
is what we're doing.
yeah, and so good. So what the AFSC's language makes it, makes it clear is I think they rightfully have identified that, it's not just one country, it's the war economy and it's the system, it's the profit system that is creating all these, all these horrible things. And, if you, look at what's going on in Africa, I'm from, my family's from Eritrea. I was born in Ethiopia. What's going on there, like in the Sudan and the Congo, it's the same thing. It's just, these companies that are, in many cases, the same companies that are, profiting from this. So, it makes that's what makes it, great is it's comprehensive, and it's not just addressing the country or whatever. It's addressing the war economy and focusing on and saying we want to do this. We want a way of life that's based on these life sustaining business practices. And so yeah, that's what that's what I like about it.
So if it passes, if you get it to referendum, who's going to come out against it? What's going to happen? Like if it's on the ballot, like, is there going to be a campaign by like weapons manufacturers or Zionist forces to try and
Yeah,
kill it?
most likely, yeah. most likely. I mean, yeah, because if it passes here, the Montgomery County can, could do it. Baltimore County could do it. Anne Arundel, Prince George's, and as close as it is to DC, I think
It would be a
um,
landmark.
yeah, someone from like you look at these like people who subscribe on the website, and someone from AFs, like there's this nonprofit that does like this that works with like these weapons companies and other companies that provides education, and like it's a nonprofit, but like they are doing it like they say they're doing it like in an ethical way. I mean, these are like all like these are like just the most horrible companies. Like I forget the name of the organization.
Luther Corp?
No, it starts with like it's an acronym. It's like AFCM or like anyways. So
Just going to answer a question really briefly that's in the chat. Someone said, can you get them online? Unfortunately, even though we're a blue state in Maryland, we require paper signatures. Arizona, they actually passed a law that you can get electronic signatures, which is strange because it's like kind of a purple or red state. So, there's another question you ask your delegates. Why can't they get something like this passed in Maryland to make this easier for us? So the answer is, unfortunately, you're going to need to sign a piece of paper, but it's still, it's not that bad. Let us know, get in contact. I'm willing to come to anyone's house and bring that paper for you to sign.
So another way, yeah, so it has to be a wet signature. If you go to petition.hocoforhumandignity.org, you can fill out a form and you will receive the form that's basically completed, and all you need to do is just print it out and sign it, and you can either mail it or we can arrange a pickup. And so that's one way, that's another way to do it, but yeah, we have to it has to be signed, but with a pen, and so if you print it out, sign it, and then maybe get other family members to sign it. That's another way you can help. Petition.hocoforhumandignity.org, the number 4.
Are there any other questions for Michelle, by the way?
That was the only question. Yeah.
Okay, you're next.
All right, so, I mean, I actually came to sign it, actually, so.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So. The language of it would be a valid position, right? It's kind of, it's sort of vague in the language, which is fine, but it's probably a more general language. I guess the question is if this had to be implemented, there would have to be a line drawn somewhere, because, for example, Montgomery County spends millions of dollars to ORHoCo software database company. They're a very bad company, like bad person. So like, how would they know where to draw the line? I mean, we have to divest ORHoCo, or Howard County has to divest of Microsoft software. Like, does these companies do support the military? Let's say the county gave a contract to Palantir. There's a lot of police departments they pay Palantir into analysis. So how do we know where the line is to be drawn?
Yeah, so this only looks at the investment like policy, what the county's looking at when they're investing taxpayer dollars. But the other side is the procurement, and so that part is not, like, unfortunately, that part would not be addressed with this.
So you mean like the pensions, like
Something, yeah,
county
so.
pension system and how they invest there?
So, yeah, so it doesn't preclude any county-owned money that would be potentially invested. But it wouldn't, yeah, so, if you're procuring from Oracle, and I agree, like, Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon, like they have been their systems are used for, in the genocide here, at least Amazon, from my understanding. And so, yeah, unfortunately, it wouldn't address that. But I think if it passes, people can start, saying, clearly the voters want this, and so we need to have a procurement policy that's also ethical. And so I think that's probably how maybe that could be, addressed, um, and it's not gonna be like, let's say that, this thing passes, the county is not gonna just stop, right? Like it has to be done in a, in a, uh, you know, uh, in a responsible way. So even the investment policy, it has to be done in a way that, that you're not, like the requirement is you have to fulfill your fiduciary obligation, make sure that, you're not, so all of those things have to be done in a responsible way. So same thing with the procurement, it has to be done in a responsible way.
Karen's still on the line, because she wanted to share something about Columbia Association, unless someone
Yeah.
else has something to add to this that she thinks is very important. She gets off this call. I'm gonna, very quickly, Karen, you wanna unmute yourself so you can share what you wanted to share about Columbia Association problems, issues?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
I tried to turn on my video, but Francis must think my hair doesn't look good, so he's got that blocked. Um, that's okay. So just real quick, two things on the Columbia Association. The ethics policy, there have been proposed changes to the ethics policy. These are straight out anti-democratic proposals, and they're just seeking to silence board members and frankly to disenfranchise the villages. They're trying to take away the villages' prerogative to elect who they want to represent them on the Columbia Association Board of Directors. They want to be able to permanently remove board members, and then if the village would decide that they still wanted to elect that person, as soon as they got back to the board, they would be immediately unseated, even if they had been taken, even if they'd been removed from the board illegally. The way it's written, the board would still have to remove them. So that's one thing I think people should be paying attention to. It's very anti-democratic and disenfranchises the villages. The second thing that people should be focusing on is the fiscal year 2025 has ended, and we've got the fourth quarter audited financial statement, and CA beat the budget by $6.9 million. That's a lot of money, and we've been beating the budget for several years. I've been asking almost since I got on the board for us to find a way to make it so that residents of Columbia no longer have to pay additional money on top of their annual charge to be able to go to the pool, that they should be able to use the pool free of extra charge. And $6.9 million more than covers the pool. Last thing, this isn't really CA related, and yet it is CA related. I think I said this the last time. I'm on the new town task force, which is everybody on there was appointed by the county executive, and the purpose of that task force is to make recommendations about zoning, in specifically new town zoning. And I don't know how many people are familiar with that, and I'm not going to go into a bunch of details, but if you have questions, please just send them my way. I'll try to answer them. This is a huge deal to people who live in Columbia, who live in this planned community, for what's going to happen in the future. So I would just ask people to be paying attention, listening to the questions that people are asking. The next meeting is tomorrow night, from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a virtual meeting. I think you can still register to watch the meeting if you go out and just look up Howard County Government Newtown Task Force. There's a link on the website that allows you to register. So for the public, I hope that you guys will log into that. And if you'd like to come to Resident Speak Out on Thursday and talk about how anti-democratic the proposed changes to the ethics policy are, you need to sign up for Resident Speak Out by Wednesday at 5 p.m. And that's it for me. Thanks, Kat. Hey, you guys are muted in the room, so nobody online can hear you.
That was me.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's okay.
How about now?
Can you
better?
hear us now?
Yep.
Okay, so many ways to get involved. If you want to get involved with the right to strike, at the other barn on Saturday at 10 a.m. If you want to get involved with Harry's campaign, and I expect everyone to want to get involved with both, get in touch with Harry or our rep, and we'll hook you up with that. Lots of ways to get involved right now, and it's a lot of fun to canvass. People don't think it is, and they get scared and daunted, but like-minded individuals, I will personally offer to train anyone who wants to do this with us. And Francis will too. And it isn't as crazy as you think. I am an introvert, which people don't know. Like, I am extremely shy. I don't like to talk to strangers, but if I have a task at hand, I will. And then you can't shut me up. So, and it's so easy. Just please try to find even an hour of your time to do it. I know it's been very hot, but you can do it, and we'll help you get there. So that's all I gotta say.
Just-
Gary.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. So I'm I'm also an introvert, but when you go out there, and the good thing is it's one-on-one. It's not, you're not talking to a crowd. And so after you do like 6, 7 of these interactions, you get used to the rejection, and then people actually let you off in an easy way. Like they say, like, I want to read this first or whatever. So it's been, so far it's been really good. Like it has been a good experience. And I just wanted to touch on some, like, I think it's always in the back of people's mind about, just from talking to people who have signed it, and who haven't signed it, about are these, like, the ethical companies, are they as profitable as the bad companies? And I would argue they are as profitable, if not more. And the reason I say that is, if just within our, like, lifetime, within our memories, just as recently as 2008, when we had the huge financial crisis, and we ended up, we, the taxpayer, ended up paying the consequences for that. And other, like, these massive social and economic crises that come from a country run by the war economy. Like, the taxpayer ends up paying for that. So ultimately, if you add up all of those things, you go into the economic crises, the deaths, the destruction, there's no way anyone can argue with a straight face that that's more profitable for the society. Like, for individuals, that might be, the war economy might be better, like like just one person, two people, right? Like for your own 401k. But, or if you're just spending, but as a society, for your taxpayer dollars, it's not profitable. We're actually losing money every time we're allowing this to continue, because our taxes keep going up. We end up, we end up paying to clean up the mess caused by these, corporations, who are doing a lot of damage to our environment, just human life in general. So
And
it's actually more profitable, I would argue.
money into things that destroy the environment. Your children, a lot of you have children, or future generations, if you don't, are going to pay for it. Is it worth it? Then you got to think of it that way. And we'll leave you with all of that. And we're going to end the meeting like early, which you should be very happy. And please contact us if there's anything you have questions about. You have our email. You can contact Howard County for Human Dignity. Sakib, you have one more thought?
Yeah, just one quick thing. I run a WhatsApp chat room for Maryland Palestine solidarity activists, where people can, hey, this is happening. We need some volunteers to show up here, or that, this or that. So if anybody wants to join the WhatsApp group, you're all invited. You can just scan this QR code, come up to me afterwards, and
It's a fun group.
Yeah.
I think I'm already in there.
I
check.
don't think so, but you're welcome to,
Certain.
we're all uncertain what's happening.
You're in the same-
What's that?
We're listening.
Okay, so two Israeli soldiers have just been arrested in Belgium.
Yeah, I saw that for the Hindu, yeah.
That's all. I'll like, people do this stuff and then post it.
Well, they're not afraid, but maybe they will be.
Yeah,
Well, I don't,
They were also released, so.
yeah, so
But
they were
that's
arrested and
really-
released, right? So it's not, is that really a win?
The Regular procedure.
It's a start.
Not like based on a referral from an organization, it's just not a criminal, it's more of a civil.
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah,
But
a number
requiring
of,
an arrest.
a number of European countries are slowly starting to take
Universal
action.
jurisdiction to.
You know, to say, you know, like actual governmental action saying, we don't approve of what Israel's doing.
Yeah.
I think recently it's like Sweden stopped student exchanges with Israel. And you know,
It's all,
the Israeli students are like, this is anti-Semitic.
it's all like too little, too late.
Yeah, it's very small steps. but-
Like, oh yeah, 100,000, 70,000 people dead, right? Trapped under buildings, starving to death. Oh yeah, we're gonna issue some like mean words.
Kit, what like, so just to your point, because like I was thinking about this all day about, you hear like 85%, someone mentioned like 85% of the Palestinian population right now has reached a stage of starvation where if food came in, it would be difficult to reverse, what they're facing. And then like you end up seeing like some people that, that have not said anything for 2 years, like say something now, and I'm like, like, at least for me, the conflict for me is, if you say like it's too late, then, it makes people sort of like resign to that and like not, like it sort of maybe discourages, action or like, just speaking up, but at the same time, like, yeah, like if you say, like, that's where we are. So I don't know, like, I just wanted to throw it out there, like,
Yeah.
like things like preventing students, like student exchange program, like that should have happened like in January 2024. Like, it's not something that you do like now, but anyways, I just.
Yeah, it's baby steps, but I mean,
Right.
it's better than, the current US government is like, go Israel.
Yeah.
And under the Democrats, they were like, please don't do that, but we'll still keep selling you bombs.
Trump has started doing that too. Now he's saying that he's very outraged that Netanyahu bombed Syria, so he's doing the same exactly.
I mean, the bizarre thing is you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene putting forth a bill to stop arms to Israel and
Well,
I saw that on what?
and then like
No.
AOC voted against
no,
it.
it's no.
Okay.
It's a great thing. Look, there's a big contingent on the left who are against Israel, but there's a rising and there's a budding movement on the right, and we should welcome it.
I
And
know that, but I'm
they're horrible
like
people, but
Jamie
hey,
Raskin and they didn't support it, and it's like,
yeah.
Ridiculous, right? I mean,
Katie, were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, well, I was just also thinking about, I mean, kind of to your point on how late people kind of decide to say something or wake up. Like the recent bombing of the only Catholic church in Gaza, I felt like it just struck me as, we're still seeing a valuing of like Christian lives over Muslim
Yeah.
lives. Yeah, it's like, if this is your wake-up call, like, we do need more people to speak out, but it's also like,
it's very racist.
yeah.
it took that long for them to like.
I mean,
oh,
that's
that's wrong.
church 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really about Christianity, it's Western.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing, like, as this movement grows bigger, right? We're gonna have to like accept people who are bad people, like
Nazis.
Nazis, like, you know, as a group, as if we become more mainstream, that means lots of people will join us, and they won't be people we always agree with, and they won't be, and but that's kind of like a sign of success in a way, right? Because you're growing.
I've been finding Tucker Carlson's podcast pretty interesting lately,
Right.
so.
Yeah, right.
So it's
You know?
probably be consistent. So we have, we
Well, we
have
don't
Mon-
approve of, you know,
Yeah.
Nazis and stuff, right? But, you know, listen, the Israeli government, they've had success by allying with the nastiest people in the world, right? Evangelical Christians, genocide, Nazis, genociders in Burma, you know,
Sorry.
and, you know, it would be not smart to like tie our own hands behind our back,
But you
right?
get something. So we have probably one of the most progressive members of Montgomery County. She voted to support the MIDC, and a group met with her and she goes, yeah,
Krista Mink.
yeah, I think it's a genocide and blah, blah. And they're like, oh my God, she thinks it's a genocide. And we're like, but at the end of the day, she stuck her hand up and gave money. So do you give her credit for saying the words when she's not? And they said, would you be willing to like refute that? She said, no. And it's like, would you be willing next year not to vote for it? She goes, no, I'll still vote for it. So it's like she's trying to get some political cover, but she's not offering anything. You have to have something
Oh,
really
yeah.
tangible. You have to
Oh.
be public about it.
It's just like supporting, saying that Black Lives Matter while, you know, doing things that show that you don't think Black Lives Matter, like, and they do that on a daily basis. It just, you know, they do it so well, like now they just, it's the same, you know, yeah, like I think it's a you know, I think it's a
They used to
genocide.
call it, I like homos. So a elected official, there'd be Gaza bombing and they wouldn't care, but they go, oh, I like homos. And everybody's like, oh, you like homos. It's like, you know.
That's so, yeah.
But is it, what kind of hummus is it? Yeah. What's that?
Okay.
All right, let's end the meeting. Thank you all for coming. And thank you, I appreciate much you coming all the way from Montgomery County. I know that can,
That's the only time I ever see sock up. We have to go outside county.
you can't meet it.
We're probably spied up.